O Great Spirit, saints and sages of all times, of all places, most beloved Lord of life, in all of thy names and all of thy forms, thou whom we call Ishtakevata, Namaste. Most beloved path makers of old, Namaste. Ancestors of our bloodlines, ancestors of our spiritual lines, ancestors of our adopted lines, ancestors of our marriage lines, ancestors of our friendship lines. Namaste. O ye powers that be, of the air, the earth, the fire, the water, the ether. Namaste. Most beloved and precious Mother Gaia, whose body we live upon, whose fruits we sup upon. Namaste. May our presence become an ever greater blessing unto thee. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Namaste. Welcome. Welcome to my heart. Welcome to our Sunday gathering, our Sunday sangha. Take a deep breath. And perhaps close your eyes and settle in for a moment. Cold, dry, cracked earth. Wind blowing from every corner. Upending the trees. Picking the dust so it gathered and whirled round and round. The cries of the babies in the distance. Hunger. The elders bending over, moaning softly as they shuffled across the ground. Holding Ka tightly to her chest, cradling, holding tightly. She poured all of her love into this beautiful Ka. She could hear it reverberating. The mountains sent ee-aw, ee-aw, ee-aw. The elders stood up. Her brothers and sisters stood up. Her mother and father stood up to answer the call. Ee-aw, ee-aw, ee-aw. Walking slowly, slowly, slowly. She gathered Ka to her and followed. Very, very slowly. Watching, seeing what was about to happen. They gather. Who is calling them? Ee-aw, 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 ah-ee. As they gather, the chant changes. Ah-ee, ah-ee. The shaman has called them all to the fire. It's been a long, cold winter. As you can see, the ground is cracked. No rain, no food, no plants bursting forth from the earth. Dry, cold. We must do something. Yes, oh shaman dear, says one of the old women. What do you suggest we do this time? What do you suggest we do this year? She leaned back and she knew what he was going to say. But like a good elder, she let him say it. We must sacrifice. We must sacrifice something to the fire. Everyone in the clan, everyone in the clan must sacrifice something that they love very much in the fire. They all saw it coming. Every year they have to sacrifice something in the fire. But this was the first year that she was there, holding tightly to Ka. Oh, oh, oh. I love you so much. Slowly, slowly, she walks back to her parents' home. Oh, I love you. You're so beautiful to me. I really love you. I don't think anybody in the village, anybody in the clan, anybody here has anything that they love as much as I love you. And she holds Ka so tightly, so tightly. Closing her eyes, she pours every bit of love that she has to Ka. Filling Ka with her love, her gratitude. And tears pour down her face, for she knows what she must do. She's heard the babies crying. She's seen the elders barely walking. She's seen the pain on the face of her mother and her father. Yes, she must give up Ka. The afternoon turns to evening. She's holding Ka by herself in her room, pouring more and more and more love and more gratitude. Finally, things quiet down. She can hear the family has returned, but they've gone off to their separate ways. The village is quiet. Looking one more time at Ka. One more time. She wraps Ka gently in the cloth and carries Ka with her. Gently, gently, gently leaving the house, going to the circle, the center where the fire has been burning. Everyone's made their offerings but her. The timbers, the fire has burned down. She carefully gathers her sticks, places them on the fire, blows upon the embers, and once more, looks at her beautiful, beautiful Ka, the beautiful blue, the beautiful red, the beautiful white, the beautiful green and orange, all the gorgeous gold colors. And she takes her Ka and offers it. Oh, she offers it and places it upon the fire. And her beautiful, beautiful, beautiful doll that she loves so much, that she's had all of her 5 years, that she loves more than anything loved in the village. Her beautiful doll made for her by her grandmama. She watches it go up. And as the flames arise, the blue arises, the red arises, the green arises, the orange arises, the gold arises, the pink arises. The flame turns white, brilliant, brilliant white. And the flame lights the entire night sky. The flame lights the entire village. And burns and burns and burns until the sun peaks over the horizon. And as the sun peaks over the horizon, the last of the flames finish. And she who has been sitting there all night, tending to the fire, reaches over with her little hands. The embers are cool. How is this possible? The flames have burned all night. They just stopped. The embers are cool. She brushes them away, she brushes them away, and the ground is soft and moist. And she sees coming forth from the ground an array of flowers like she's never seen in her life, all 5 years. Blue flowers, blue, 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 blue flowers, and gold, and orange, and pink, and green, and red, and they fill the center of the circle. And as she lifts her eyes, the ground is covered. The hills are covered. The rain begins to come down in small, small, soft, gentle droplets. And the earth has come alive again. The streams began to run again. And her clan, her family comes out, lifting their faces to the rain. The cries of the babies stop. The faces of the elders, all of the wrinkles go away. They become smooth. Her mother's smiling and dancing with her father. The children are running. And she looks in her heart. She was so afraid she would miss Ka, her most beloved friend. But here she sees, look. She is everywhere. He is everywhere. It, the divine, is everywhere. And she knows in her heart, it was because she gave of that which she loved the most, that which she was most attached to. She offered it through her sadhana, her practice, her tending the fire, her feeding the fire, that this small, tiny doll made by her grandmama would feed the whole clan, would feed the earth. And every year, until she was a very, 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 very old woman, still walking upright and limber, the spring would come and the earth would soften, and those beautiful, beautiful flowers made of this offering of her love to the fire that was within her, the fire that you are, that she is, her offering, her tapas, her spiritual offering, would pour forth upon the earth again and bless and bless and bless and bless her and bless her friends and bless her family and bless all the creatures of the earth, those that she knew, those that she did not know, for her awareness, her willingness, her understanding that because she had such great love, if only she could let go of her attachment, she could change the universe in which she lived. And thus it is for you and I. What is it that you are so attached to, that you really, really, really love, that you don't want to let go of? Satchivagananda, the poet, once said, I was afraid to let go of my anger, for I thought I would become lonely without it. What do you have that you would become lonely to let go of? What bias, what prejudice? Now I know you think I'm not prejudiced. Oh, but we are. We all are. We're biased or prejudiced towards the color blue, the color pink, the color brown, or a particular kind of music, or a particular food. But more importantly, we're biased towards our own opinions, our own opinions, our own opinions. What is it that is in your consciousness that you have allowed yourself to be attentive to? What is that you are afraid to let go of? Because if you let go, you would be lonely, you think. What is it that if you let go of, This thing that you are holding on so very, very tightly. The belief, the awareness, the thought. What is it if you let go of it? And with your spiritual discipline, offer it. That it might be transformed as her beloved Ka was transformed. And spread in your life, and spread in the life of your loved ones, and spread in life. So now is the time. Today, we are at the halfway point between the spring equinox, the beginning of spring, and the summer solstice. There are very important times cyclically in the life of the earth, in the life of Mother Gaia. Times for us to stop and reflect on what we're doing. What are we doing here on Mother Gaia? What are you doing here? You know, sometimes people like to ask the question, why? Why me? Why me? Why am I here? Or as one of the children likes to say, I didn't do nothing. The grown children, I didn't do nothing. So let go of the why and ask yourself, the derogatory questions, who, what, when, where, and there is the why, and then the which. But who is it that is really living your life? Who? Whose life are you living? Are you living your own? Or are you living the lives of your son or your daughter, your niece, your nephew, your neighbor, your friend? How much time are you spending of this very precious human life? How much time every day are you spending living the life of someone else through your thoughts? How much time are you spending thinking about them and what they're doing? It doesn't matter to me, but it should matter to you. Some of you know that there was a time, a day, a while ago, that my mind became emotional. And I was talking only one time, right? That particular day. And I was talking to my guru. And I started complaining. I don't know what it was about. I was just complaining, which I can't say happened really often, but that day I was just complaining, And I guess it went on for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes or so. It went on for a long time. Let's just say from my guru's perspective, it went on for a very long time. Probably felt like 100 years. And he looked at me across Skype and he says, Swamiji, how much longer are you going to go on about this? And I sat back, just like this. I laughed and I said, well, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. And he said, well, it's long enough for me. Now, when is it going to be long enough for you? I can still hear that. I can still hear that question to this moment. Whenever the mind begins to go, chakas, create chaos, create chakas. How much longer are you going to do that? How long would you like to be that way? 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 minutes, half an hour, an hour? How do you put a time frame on it? How do you say, oh, I'm only going to be angry XYZ, and then I'm going to cut it off. And the beauty of that thinking, the beauty, the wisdom in that statement is, what is acceptable to you? What's acceptable to me, to my guru, is not acceptable to you, perhaps. I don't know. You have to decide for yourself. So, you're living your life. Whose life are you living? Ask yourself that as we move into this, as we are in this sacred time, as we are moving towards the summer solstice. This is the time for you to look at what you are carrying in your life, what you're carrying, and what you might give up. So maybe today you might give up for just a moment. We'll do this a little later. Something about somebody else's life that you're hanging on to. What are you hanging on to? Now, this is an important question to ask yourself, because sometimes in your reflection you will see, oh, I see. All of these things that I'm hanging on to relate to money, the earth, the prana of the earth plane. And we can never forget that. We can never forget that. Too often in the spiritual practices, in the spiritual life, people say, money, you shouldn't worry about money. And my guru often said to his disciples, is from the time that I walked in the door, he said, money, euro, dollars, yen, franc, back in the good old days, French franc, rubles. It's the prana of the earth plane, that which feeds the body, that which feeds you. Now, you can say, oh, I don't care about that. And he always said, no, you must balance your earth life, balance your earth life. And so what does it mean to be concerned about the money? It doesn't mean to worry about it. It means to, in his words, always, when you get the paycheck, put $1 in savings for yourself. First thing, always $1 in savings for yourself, not to buy anything particularly, but $1 that will be there when you need it in the future. And he always said, the future is not next week, please, And then you watch your budget, you pay what needs to be paid, you handle the finances. And there are so many different ways to learn to do this, and so many different ways that you can learn to manage the prana of the earth plane. It's a hard thing today. It's a very, very challenging thing for many people, not for all. But the key is, you don't need a lot, but you do need enough earth prana to take care of yourself in the way that you need to be taken care of. Whatever that is, you know better than I do. He always would say, I guess I'm thinking about him a lot today at this moment. Feels as if he's right here with me. He often would comment about the need to make sure that you thought ahead, that what you did was think ahead. And you thought ahead about how you were going to take care of yourself today, tomorrow, the next day, the next month, the next year, through the end of your life. And he often also said that, depending upon your children, if you have them, some of us don't, it's not wise. It's not wise to put that burden upon them, to think that they will financially take care of you. And so, what needs to be done? You need to say to yourself, what is it that needs to be done in my life at this time? What am I attached to that I need to give up? And then the great question, when? When am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? It's the question he asked me. Well, Swamiji, how long are you going to keep doing that thing? When? Who, what, when, where? Where does the action need to take place? Where do you need to first make the transformation in your life? Where do you need to first take the ka from your heart? Take the beautiful, precious ka and give it, give it, give it, give it, give it away. Ah, that's the question. The chakras. The chakras. The thought forms. The chakras must be balanced. The thought forms must be balanced. This is where you transform your life. Not there, not there, not out there. Not in some tight, cold, Saturnian way. But through the Kriya practices, through your breath, through your visualization, through your affirmations. That is where the transformation occurs. How? How do you do it? Through Tarka, deep, deep reflection. What do I know? What practice do I know that will help me here? One of the disciples who I have a great deal of respect for and love is having a very difficult time at this time. You know, it happens. We all have them. And she said the other night, I know all these things, but I'm so tired. I am so, so tired. Wow. That is the absolute essence of what we have to prepare for. One of the greatest obstacles on the spiritual path, one of the greatest obstacles to your unfolding, one of the greatest obstacles to removing the obstacle in your path is the tiredness, the overwhelming tiredness. And where does that come from? So much of it comes from wanting things to be exactly the way you want them, when you want them, how you want them, and when you want them. You want it now, now, now. And this has become worse and worse for us as humans. You know, we have these devices that you swip this way and, you know, you get a new picture now. You know, you take your clicker, you get a new picture now. And it leaves the mind confused. It leaves the mind feeling like, oh, well, okay, here we are on the earth. And the earth plane is a plane of Saturnian existence. You have this. You all are here. You got a body. You got a body. You have a skin. The skin is the Saturn that keeps all of that which is within you confined. You ever seen somebody with their skin ripped open? And it's not easy. You need the skin to keep the organs intact, to keep the microbiome intact, to keep all of the things that make this body function upon the earth intact. It's a Saturn place. It's a place of Saturn. But our minds have become confused because with this Uranus that has entered into our existence, now we walk around with these little, you know, devices. This is obviously a microphone thing, so put a little device that you know, put up to your ear. I talk into it, use my thumbs on it, you know, and everything changes like this, like this, like this. And we think that the life circumstances will do the same. What you can change like that is the thoughts that rise in your mind. But sometimes they become so gluey and so sticky, Sometimes they become so gluey and so sticky that it takes extra effort. It takes tapas. It takes placing that which you love the most in the fire of your spiritual practice. And what do you love the most? Your opinions, your opinions, your opinions, your opinions. More than anything. That's what you're attached to, is your opinions. That's what we, usins, are attached to, is our opinions. And we must give those up in the fire of our spiritual practice. And so how do we make the transformation? We make it through spiritual sadhana. We make it through practice that we're going to do in just a few moments. Who can do it? Only you. What has to be done? The right action at the right time. When? That's up to you. But the action should always be taken at the right time. Where? The spinal column, the sun center, your chakra system. How? Your spiritual practice. And which one of the myriad of things that you are attached to, that I am attached to, needs to be given? What is the thing that you love the most? And this is why this particular piece is helpful. Tarka is helpful, because you can say, oh, well, all of this ruminating, thinking that I'm doing about other people, does it have to do with money, as I mentioned? Does it have to do with love? Does it have to do with work? Is there a jealousy theme underneath it? Is there a resentment theme underneath it? Is there an anger theme underneath it? See, usually when we think about other people, it's not, oh, I'm so happy for them. I'm so happy that they got that job. I'm so happy that they got married. I'm so happy they're in love. Oh, look at that wonderful thing that they just did. I'm so happy for them. Usually there's a sense of, I wonder how they got that, or I wonder what they did to deserve that. How come I don't have that? You know, that the ancient texts, it's very funny when you read back these texts 3,000-4,000 years old, and they still have these things like, you know, the wanting something that someone else has, longing for it, even when you don't want it, you know, even when you don't want it. You see the ham sandwich and you say, why did they get a ham sandwich and I didn't get a ham sandwich? And you haven't had ham in 50 years, you know, you don't like it. The mind is a funny thing. Cultivate a sense of humor and laugh at it, laugh at it. And so we're going to spend the rest of our time in a meditation, or some of the rest of our time in a meditation that will help you begin to free yourself, to offer to the flame of your practice, the flame of your spiritual practice, food to fuel the flame. And the food are those things which we love. And you know, it may sound funny when I say those things that we love, and you hear me giving you examples of those things we're attached to. But oh, we love those things we're attached to. And like the poet said, you know, I was afraid to give up my anger. The poet loved the anger. I was afraid to give up my anger for fear I would be lonely. Are you afraid to give up your opinions? For who would you be without your opinions? Who would you be? As the Swami said, I looked across the field and I realized that had I been born on that side, that boy that I'm fighting is me. I am him, he is me. What he believes, had I been born there rather than here, I would believe. We need to see, to give up our opinions enough, to lift them for a short enough time, just a short enough time to see the reality. And once that's happened, even when the fog comes down, the veils come down, the tiredness comes down, it's still there. The sunlight of self-awareness is still there. And let's see now if we can bring some of it into our lives. Focusing your attention at the sun center. Sit with your spine erect. Your hands placed upon your thighs. The thumb and the index finger together in the Om Mudra. The fingers facing towards the spinal column. Turn your head to the left in the resurrection breath, exhaling twice. Bring the head back to the center. Use the sipping breath, inhaling as if through a straw. Pull the energy from the limbs of the body to the trunk of the body. From the trunk of the body, pull the energy to the spinal column. From the base of the spine, pull the energy up to the sun center. Move that energy out in front of you as a golden ball of light. Sweep around to the left, behind you, to the right, encasing your entire being in golden light. And do this 2 more times. Expand that golden light. And now begin to ascend upward, ascending at a 45-degree angle above the room you're in, above the building, above the city, above the continent. Above the earth plane. Ascend as high as you are able. Ascending to the high place. Reaching the high place, you find yourself in the grove of the meditators. There's a large flame, a large Kriya flame, a fire of Kriya in the center. Sit comfortably where you wish. call upon your Ishtadevata, your chosen form of the divine of life, your higher power as you wish, in any form. Most beloved Ishta, help me to let go of that which is no longer useful. That the energy might be transformed, vivified, strengthened into that which will become a blessing unto all. In your mind's eye, see the fire, the flame of Kriya. Keeping your attention focused at your sun center, just ask yourself, what is that you are most attached to at this time? That you would offer to the Kriya flame, that your life will be transformed, that the lives of your clan will be transformed, that the lives of all upon the earth, in all the realms, will be blessed and transformed. What is that? Name it. See what color it is. See what shape it is. Lift it from your being. See it float free from your being. Give thanks for whatever you have learned, whatever you have gained from that which you are giving up at this moment. Feel this beautiful thing you are giving up. Lift it from your being. Offer it to the divine ones, to your Ishta. Ask their help. Feel yourself supported as you offer your offering to the flame. Feel the flame engulf your offering. To chant Om, inhale and the air, the prana, exhale the Om, allowing the flame to be fed with the Om, transforming your offering. Om, 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 Om. Inhaling. Having made your offering, bow to the flame of Kriya that lives within you, and ascend further upward. Ascend up until you come to the shrine of healing. This beautiful shrine, perfect for you in every way. See the color of healing for you today. Enter into the shrine, breathing in the color or colors of healing. Walk to the back, and you come to a pool. Enter the pool. Your shoes dissolve away, your clothing dissolves away as you walk towards the waterfall of light. A waterfall that is filled with the colors you need to fill the space that you have left through your offering. The light pouring down upon your crown center, filling every cell of your being, filling the emptiness. When you are ready, leave the waterfall of light, feeling yourself lighter, walking a small bit above the pond, above the light pond. New clothing, new skin, vivified, strengthened, new shoes. Continue to breathe that color of healing. Leaving the shrine, look once more at the color of healing. And knowing today that you can return here again and again and again. And looking out upon the hills, the grass begins to turn. As you walk to the grove of the meditators, your sacred space, the flowers begin to appear around you. The light of Kriya burns, but burns not the flowers, burns not the earth, burns not your consciousness. The light of Kriya is fed by your breath. Returning to the meditation. Keep your eyes focused on the sun center, seeing the light, and chanting softly and gently. Om, Om, Om. O ye powers that be, most beloved and precious, bless us. Pour forth thy blessings upon us, that we might be healed, strengthened, and that our life may become ever more joy-filled, more peaceful, and an ever greater blessing unto all of life. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Dhyana mulam guru motir, puja mulam guru padam, mantra mulam guru vakyam, moksha mulam guru kripa, moksha mulam guru kripa. Namaste. Namaste. I thank you for the blessings of your presence. I thank you for the blessings of your meditative energies. as we walk into the week. Yesterday, the moon was new. Yesterday, there was a solar eclipse. We will have a full moon and a lunar eclipse coming up. Those things, the color that you use today for healing, the color that you used for healing today in the ritual, visualize that. Stand under the healing, visualize it, breathe it, eat it. You know, if you visualized something that was orange, eat the orange. If you visualize blue, eat the blue. Find a way to bring the color into your life and fill that space that you gave, where you gave your offering. Fill it, right? So you may feel you left the ritual and you filled it today. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Do it again and again and again. Again, it is a joy always to be with you, and I thank you for your blessings. Namaste.